Hey, everybody, welcome to the Jim Masters Show Live Entertainment Lifestyle Talk Show series. How's everybody doing today? Thanks for joining us. We were just checking out some things audio and video wise to make sure our guest was comfortable and they had the strong connection and everything they needed to be able to join in. And our very special guest is a legend in the television, film, and theater industry. Yes, I am talking about Rob Dames. You've probably heard about his incredible background. But if you have not, you're going to learn a lot tonight because he has been a part of Americana in so many different ways. He has been a writer, still is, writer, producer, director of some of your favorite television series: Full House, Gimme A Break, The Loveboat, Benson, Marblehead Manor, Me and the Boys, also involved with the Flintstones movie, Casper, and on and on. That's just the short list. Lots of incredible theatrical productions as well, which we're going to talk about. He is live and direct from his home in California, and we're going to welcome him live right now as we have a terrific conversation. Now, everybody that is watching our show, if you have not subscribed to our YouTube channel, boy, we would love that. That's the channel you're watching right now. That's Jim Masters TV. We made it easy. We just called it my name and added TV to it because I work in television. You guys know I work in television, radio, stage, and film. So we call it the Jim Masters Show Live Entertainment Lifestyle Talk Show series, bringing back the Lost Auto conversation. The YouTube channel is Jim Masters TV. Subscribe to it. So that way there, if you'd like to comment live during our show, we have a chat section available where you can comment live during the show. That is open exclusively to subscribers. That's right. There's no cost to subscribe. I know they use the word subscribe, but there's no cost for that. It's just an extra added gift and bonus we give our subscribers, those who believe in what we're doing here, over 600 plus episodes later of all of these incredible guests and conversations, entertainment, poignant moments, and so much more. So definitely subscribe to our YouTube channel, Jim Masters TV, and be sure and click that notification bell icon. There's a little icon next to the word subscribe. Click that so you never miss any of our episodes. You'll be alerted on every episode. Sometimes we've done 2 shows a day. Sometimes, we've done them at different times based on my schedule and the guest's schedule. We're usually here 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific, but sometimes we change it up based on whether or not I have a television shoot or radio shows earlier in the day, or if the guest is available only at a certain time. So make sure you do that and give this episode a hearty like and a thumbs up as well. And leave a comment on our YouTube channel. We would absolutely love that. We say hello to the JMS Lovity Squad. That's the faithful who watch our series all the time. They're always here. They're commenting. There's a bevy of comments already built up. We absolutely love that. Thank you for all those great comments. And we're going to check into some of those comments in just a second. But first, we have an amazing guest, as I mentioned, who really is a legend in the industry. And he's been doing this a long time. He loves it. He has really touched the hearts and minds of many. Originally from St. Louis, Missouri, prior to working in Hollywood, Rob spent 4 years in the Air Force as a nuclear missile launch officer. Talk about a job switch, huh? Although, let me tell you, working in entertainment, working in broadcasting, working in television and radio, sometimes it is like a missile launch in certain ways because you got to launch that show. You got to get on time. It's just crazy. So he was, I think, very well suited to enter into this, the crazy world of television, film, and theater. Following that, in a brief stint in grad school, Rob was hired as a resident director for 2 years in St. Louis, and finally off to Hollywood. He's been a writer, producer, and/or director for over 30 television series. Rob has worked with some of the greats in the industry. He is one of the greats in the industry. He's worked on, again, some of your favorites: Benson, Marblehead Manor, Gimme A Break, Me and the Boys, The Royal Family. Remember The Royal Family with Red Fox? As a matter of fact, I was just watching some episodes that I saw on YouTube of The Royal Family. Red Fox, Della Reese. It was really cool, short-lived, but really cool show and series. Of course, the Blues Brothers, the animated, Full House. Of course, Full House, a beloved series as well. Many more. The Loveboat as well. Yep, the Loveboat. And even the game show Wipeout, The Dictator, you name it. He's been a part of it. Can't Hurry Love, Sparks, Good News, Fast Food Films, The Lot, Chains of Love, The Fifth Wheel, Blind Date, Hell Date 2, played by fame, smash cuts, on and on. Tons of television pilots, directing credits, Benson, Hard Knocks, Give Me a Break, The Royal Family, Fast Food Films, Marblehead Manor, and much more. Feature films, 2 Firecrackers, The Flintstones, Casper, What's Up Bugs, Snow Dogs, Chipmunks, and lots of incredible theatrical plays. After all these years, frozen stiff, prepping for widowhood, a lovely part of town with Dan Folliart, who you know, extraordinary guest we had on recently as well, responsible for a lot of the television music that you enjoy so much. Dan was a great guest here on our show. So we are very honored. We have this on the screen here because you can see just some of the incredible series and shows and productions that Rob has been a part of. And an incredible array too, all different kinds of productions. And I think that is really, really cool. So he's all positioned with a beautiful background, and he's had to switch from his nice, comfy computer to his phone. But, you know, in this industry, you do whatever you can. And we are very excited to welcome him here to the show from Los Angeles, California, and Hollywood. Rob, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Jim. Thank you for that introduction. Makes me feel like I actually did something.
You sure have, and you've touched our lives in so many extraordinary ways. What an interesting segue to go from, you know, the Air Force to Hollywood. Tell us about, you know, your years in the Air Force and doing that incredible work, and thank you for the service. And then what sort of inspired you to then go into Hollywood? As I said, there's a lot of similarities because you got to launch a lot of shows and launch a lot of programming. So,
Well, actually, the Air Force was sort of like the hurdle in the middle. I got into theater in St. Louis when I was about 12 because I had an uncle, David Dames, who was a very prominent amateur actor in the city. And whenever they needed a kid actor, David brought me into it. And I was hooked, absolutely hooked. Went to St. Louis University to major in theater. And it was Vietnam time, so I decided to go into the Air Force, hoping to fly. Fortunately, with my eyes, that was not going to happen. And then I got my orders and said I was going to be a nuclear missile launch officer, which, where else would you put a theater major?
Wow. Yeah. Yeah.
But the beauty of that time in the Air Force, there was a lot. I enjoyed the Air Force very much. A lot of incredible people. But because of that job, you have a lot of time on free.
Yes.
So along with some other locals, this was in Rapid City, South Dakota.
South Dakota.
We started a community theater, which became incredibly successful. It's still going to these days. They now have their own multi-million-dollar building.
Mm.
And when I got out of the, so I was able to continue to participate in theater at that time. In fact, here's just backstepping a little bit. After I was already on duty in the missile squadron, I received a telegram from the Pentagon asking me would I accept a change of duty to become head of Armed Forces Radio TV in Saigon.
Wow.
I said, yes, I would take it. And then I got a second telegram saying, too late. You have too high a security clearance and you already know things we don't want you over there knowing.
Knowing, right.
So anyway, after the Air Force, I went to grad school to kill time while I figured out what I was going to do. And then got hired for the 2 theaters in St. Louis and went home, directed there for about 3 years before I came out here.
Wow, that's amazing. So had you always had an interest in television and film and theater and in Hollywood? And were there other members of the family that toyed in these industries at all? Were there other forms of inspiration early on for you?
Only my uncle David, who I'd mentioned earlier.
Yeah.
But no, I was definitely a black sheep within the family.
Mm-hmm.
That's not in a bad way. It's just the way it was.
Yeah.
So I knew I wanted to go into this industry. And the question was, do I want to go to New York or do I want to go to California? And I figured there was a really good chance I would probably not have anything to eat or a place to live. So I chose California for the weather.
So if you went east to New York, you would not have anything place to live or to eat.
There was a good risk of that.
The cost and yeah. Well, we're so glad. I mean, you're always welcome to come back to we're on the East Coast. We're in the New York area between New York and Boston along the southern New England coast here. And so you're always welcome to come back and visit. But it really, you made your mark and still make your mark there.
Thank you.
What was the first thing, the project or whatever it may be, that brought you to Hollywood, to Los Angeles, to Tinseltown?
Well, it actually was not a project. It was a risk.
It was a risk.
But it was a risk. I was advised by Alex Trebek to make this move.
Really?
That sounds weird, doesn't it?
It's amazing.
We were doing a production in St. Louis of a play called The Owl and the Pussycat. And it was starring Ruta Lee.
Ruta Lee, she was a great guest on our show. Amazing.
She's a wonderful woman. Absolutely wonderful.
A real firecracker. A lot of passion.
And at that time, she was doing a show with Alex called High Rollers.
Yes.
So Alex came into St. Louis to catch Ruta, and I had some drinks with him and chatted and told him I was trying to figure this out. And he said, here's what I want you to do. Get out of your apartment, get in the cheapest apartment you can live in, save all your money for 1 year, then pack a truck and come west. And that's what I did.
Wow. Wow. That's really cool for Alex Trebek to say that, huh? And God bless him, God bless him. Another legend gone too soon. Definitely. Extraordinary. I mean, what a phenomenal, prolific career. When they looked back at his life, you almost forget all the things he was involved in as well. And I know Jeopardy! Claim to fame, but so many other shows and other productions over the years, really fantastic. So did you guys stay in touch over the years, you and Alex?
No, strangely, no, we did not.
Yeah.
But because of the theaters I was directing in, we used a lot of star talent. There were people with whom I did stay in touch.
Yeah.
Joyce Bulifant from the Mary Tyler Moore Show.
Sure. She's been a guest on our show.
Mary, oh my God, I can't think of her name. Who played the mother on Happy Days?
Oh, she was a guest too, Marion Ross.
Oh,
isn't she a delight?
We stayed very close. And there were a few others. So
she invited me to come to the Happy Days Ranch. So when she was on the show, we did a wonderful, I don't call these interviews, I call these conversations. And she says, Jim Masters, you must come to our Happy Days Ranch, which is the home. And really a beautiful person, just a wonderful spirit. And Joyce Bulifant. These are, legends we're talking about here. So you take the advice of Alex Trebek, which I think is really exciting, and you head out, you pack it all up, you head west. And what happens from there? What did you say? Hey, I'm here. I'm ready. Or did you have to knock on some doors? How did it all work for you?
It was a challenge.
Yeah.
And I wasn't really sure how I was. When I came out here, I decided I was going back into acting. Huge mistake.
Right.
I would go to auditions and I knew everybody in the room except me. So the chances of that working out were very slim. I got a few commercials, one guest star on a show, but that was not going to happen.
That's a fantastic line. I got to write that down. I knew everybody in the room except me. That's you need a good agent and manager to get that going. Yeah, I know.
Yes.
But that was the thing, was to get into to do acting, performing. You were a performer.
And I realized quickly that was not going to be where I was going to have any success.
Yeah.
And while I was desperately trying to find something to pay the bills, I ran across a piece of information from an agent named Ruth Webb, one of the old school agents, who was looking for somebody to ghostwrite some novels for a client. So I called her up. I made the connection. I went up there. This is way above my ability, but I figured if they'll pay me, I'll give it a shot.
Sure.
So I got there. It turns out the client was Mickey Rooney. So Mickey, like he always did, had a million ideas.
Yes, another
This
bundle of energy. Absolutely.
this idea was, I have some ideas for novels. I
Hmm.
need a writer. And the idea is you will write them based on whom I think will play them in the movie. We'll put a mail-in postcard in the book. People will fill out who they want to see, and that's how we'll cast the movie. Typical Mickey Rooney.
Yeah.
So I ended up ghostwriting 2 novels for him, and those checks saved my life for a year.
What did you think? Here you are now. You're working with Mickey Rooney. I mean, you're coming out there, and all of a sudden, you're working with Mickey Rooney.
Yes.
Were you? Was it a pinch me moment or two? I mean, not a bad way to begin. Alex
A
Trebek says,
little
"Come
bit.
west," and then
Yeah,
Mickey Rooney's there. Let's work together. I mean, not bad.
not bad at all. It was like you would shoot this scene in a movie. My meeting with Mickey Rooney. First of all, he was like a ping pong ball in the room. Bam, boom,
Yeah,
bam, bam.
yeah.
And every few minutes he'd have to stop. He'd pick up the phone and he'd call his bookie and place a bet on the next race.
Remember, he played. Wasn't there a? There was that Twilight Zone episode he played where I think he was a bookie, wasn't he?
Was
And
he?
he dreamed he was in that room. The amazing Rod Serling. He was in that room because he was shorter. He had always dreamed that he could be bigger, bigger. He wanted to be a bigger man, a bigger
Hmm.
man. And so he sees his reflection in the mirror. And I guess it must be, Satan or the devil, but he makes a deal. Anything, whatever you want, whatever you want. I just want to be bigger, taller. So I guess he was going to, I don't know. There was something he was doing. I don't know if it was a jockey or something where he wanted to be a bigger, more prominent person. So he was in this little room, and all of a sudden, I think when he goes to sleep, he wakes up and he's bigger, but he's so big that like he's banging into the furniture, and he's too big, and now he's too big to do anything. And he ends up, stuck in that position forever. And just really amazing, huh?
Well, he was definitely a bigger than life person for
Absolutely,
that little
yes.
guy. At one point during our meeting, I was trying to sell myself as a very serious writer to him so I could get the job. So I said to him, he laid out a story outline for me. And I said to him, trying to be very artistic, so Mickey, in this story, what would you like at the end? What would you like this to be? And he said, I don't know, 325, 350 pages. So
Yeah, nothing to do with the actual
no.
content or the theme. It's more of, yeah, just a straight shooter, just direct. Yeah.
So he said, you got 12 weeks to write it. So I divided 350 by 12 and figured out how many pages I had to write a week. And it worked
Yes.
out.
Yes, absolutely. I think it did. What happened from there then after doing that with Mickey Rooney?
Well, I ran into an old friend on the street named Bob Frazier. We had been in summer stock together. Neither of us knew the other was out here. And we just said, do you have any interest in writing? And we said, let's give it a shot. So at that time, to get into writing, you wrote spec scripts.
Yes.
And we figured there were 2 shows coming on that might have a chance. One of them was Loveboat, and one
Hmm.
of them was the Ed Asner show.
The Ed Asner Show, yeah.
What was it? Was it called the Ed Asner show?
Uh, Lou Grant?
Lou Grant, yeah.
Lou Grant, yes.
So we wrote a spec script for each of them. We assumed that the Lou Grant show, since it's a spinoff of Mary Tyler Moore, was a
Yeah,
comedy. We got
right.
a very strong letter back from Ed Weinberger saying, Lou Grant is not a comedy, damn it.
No.
So that didn't work.
So that's it. So then it
But
was Loveboat?
which we didn't get any reaction to that either. But we decided to write a play. We wrote a murder mystery called Frozen Stiff,
Mm-hmm.
which got produced at the Hollywood Actors Theater, which is now gone. And it was seen, by 2 of the supervising producers on the Loveboat. They liked it, and that was our ticket into the Loveboat.
Wow. So what was it like being a part of the Love Boat, which of course, has become a beloved series all these years, and you
Yeah.
worked with some greats there too. Of course, we just recently lost Gavin MacLeod, but you've had an opportunity to work with so many incredible people that have also the guest stars were a who's who of
That was
Hollywood
amazing. Yeah.
and coming in and out. What was it like? Tell us, your role and some of the things that you were doing.
Well, Bob and I were the most junior writers on the staff. But I think, first of all, just that first day driving onto the 20th Century Fox lot and finding out you have an office in a bungalow, it was a movie.
Yes, yes, yeah. And you're part of the team, and now you're all. That's incredible, isn't it? Huh?
It was, and it was very interesting. We did not do well there. We did not get along with the producers, and we were let go relatively early.
Was that was Loveboat and Aaron's spelling production?
It wasn't Aaron
It
spelling.
was Aaron.
Aaron was not our problem. We had never had any conflict with Aaron.
Yeah.
So we moved on from there, and there was two guys named Rod Parker and Hal Cooper.
Yeah.
Longtime partners, best known probably from Maude.
Oh, yes.
And they were just starting their own production company, and they liked our work and hired us to come work with them. They had some pilot deals at CBS, and we worked with them for a while until all of their stuff went south. And then we got hired for Benson. Stayed there for 6 seasons.
Robert Guillaume, yes. And that was
Great
a
man.
great series on ABC. Tell us about working on that series. And again, that lasted a good number of years and
7 seasons, yeah.
Yeah, which, that's you need 5 for the people watching. We're sure you need at least 5 so it can go into syndication. It can go into reruns. It was always that magic 5 years. Some have done it with 4, I guess, but 5 generally. So you hit 7, which was fantastic. What was it like working with everybody there? What was the atmosphere like? What was the set like? What was a day like working on such a beloved series as Benson, with consummate actors and actresses who were a part of that family?
We were spoiled being on that series with Robert, Renee Aubergenois, James Noble, Inga Swenson, Ethan Phillips. These were solid actors.
Yeah.
You knew that your words were going to be better than you thought they were coming out of their mouths. Yeah. And that was considerably always true. They were really very pleasant people to work with. They had their opinions, but they were intelligent opinions. And you were happy to hear them.
Yeah.
And happy to work with them to accommodate what they're trying to get to. So that was a joy, that show. Absolute joy. Not that there wasn't conflict here and there, but overall we were truly spoiled. You just don't get a cast like that on every show.
Do you have an episode or two that are your personal favorites?
That's a good question. I don't know that I do. Not off the top of my head, I don't.
Yeah. How about from the bottom of your heart?
I'm thinking real hard here. I'm trying to run through the list.
Sometimes from the top of your head is harder. Try from the bottom of your heart.
Well, in some ways, the very first episode that I directed for the series was called Mary and Her Lambs. It was a Christmas episode, which everybody said, oh, don't direct the Christmas episode. There are never been any reruns. It's been rerun forever.
Forever. Right. Exactly.
And the thing about it was the final scene. It was a very touching final scene.
That had to be. Yeah.
Inga sang, James Noble sang, Renee Aubergenois sang, and Robert Guillaume sang "Oh Holy Night," which just choked you up to hear him sing like that. Yeah. I'm moving where I can plug my phone in here.
Yes, absolutely. Beautiful tour of your home there. We love that. I am Edward R. Morrow, and this is Person to Person on CBS.
This is my office.
The beautiful home of Rob Dames there in LA. Look at the skylighting and the wind. It is actually beautiful. Tell us about the room you're in. The viewers love to see that.
Yeah, this is my office where I do all my writing. I'll show you my desk. I think I will. No, I'm looking the other way. Here's my desk. And there you can see bookshelves and a fireplace in the background. And wonderful art on the walls, because my wife is a very serious collector of contemporary art. So we have a lot of it in the house. Why isn't my phone charging? Anyway.
Absolutely beautiful. Abode you have there. Really, really beautiful. I love the lighting. And before I went into the crazy world of television and radio and all, I studied architecture and design. So I'm admiring just the windows, the shaping, the lighting, just all of it. Yeah. And the way you have it organized is really, really comfortable, huh? You like a lot of light coming in, you need, sun and air, right? Yeah.
It is. And when I work, I'm facing out towards the garden in the courtyard, which is very, very peaceful.
Yes,
I
really.
watch all the hummingbirds running around out there.
Oh, that's very nice. You're inspired, I'm sure, by a lot of what you see. After Benson, did the cast of Benson, did anybody stay connected or check in with each other? Robert, Guillaume?
We all actually, Renee and Robert, we stayed in touch. Inga moved east, and I'm not sure. I think James moved east as well. So we lost touch with them, but we kept in touch with Robert and Renee. In fact, I used to see Renee a lot.
Yeah, which is fantastic. I mean, when you get a chance to do that. So when Benson wrapped, what came next for you, Rob?
There were some offers on the table.
Yeah.
We decided, we thought the next correct move for us was, that's me and Bob Frazier, my partner then. We decided our correct move at that time would be to get a production deal of some sort.
Yeah.
And we had that offer from Paramount. So we signed on to Paramount. Obviously, your hope when you're doing that is that you're going to create a show that succeeds, and then you'll be okay. The danger in it is if you don't create a show that succeeds, you've been invisible for 2 or 3 years.
Yeah, you just sort of. Did you come across or do anything with Lloyd or Sherwood Schwartz? Lloyd was a guest recently on the show. He was amazing too.
I never worked with him. I've met Lloyd many times.
Yeah.
Very, very nice guy. Always enjoy meeting him.
Brady Bunch, Gilligan's Island. It's amazing what they created.
That family is a solid history of American television.
And Paramount too. The studio is just extraordinary. And of course, the Desi Lou connection prior. I mean, it's almost like sacred ground there in Hollywood, so to speak. So then, I mean, because the amount of series that you had an opportunity to work on, I mean, Gimme A Break too with Nell Carter. I mean, that was another fantastic one.
Yeah, that was I directed an episode of that, had the chance to direct additional. And that came about simply because Hal Cooper, who I'd mentioned earlier, he and Rod, after their company shut down, were doing Gimme A Break.
Yeah.
And Hal said, "You want to come direct a few episodes?" And I jumped at it, did it, did one, and then was asked to do more, but I didn't have the opportunity because the show we had created called Marblehead Manor was about to take off.
Yes. Tell us, for those who may remember this one. This I know near and dear to your heart. Tell us what was the inspiration for this one.
We really wanted to do a show with broad comedy, very physical, very farcical. And we had the right players, Michael Richards, Paxton Whitehead, Deanna Ortelli. And we knew it was going to be funny, and it was extremely funny. The live audience, those are probably the biggest, hardest laughs I have ever heard. The problem was we were still in the square television screens at that time.
Yes.
And this did not play well on those screens.
It didn't, huh?
No. So it went away, but I'm thrilled with it. And that's where I met Dan Folliart. Dan Folliart was the composer on it.
Yes, extraordinary. He was a guest recently, a dear guy, and he connected us too, which I think is fantastic. Just an amazing person. Would you say Marblehead Manor, was there any slight touches of, the British comedies, the Britcoms that
Absolutely.
you see? Yeah, that's what I felt when, some of those amazing, Faulty Towers and some of the others.
Very much inspired by that, which is why we had Paxton Whitehead as the butler, and Linda Thorson, who had replaced Diana Rigg on The Avengers.
Yes.
Another wonderful English actress. Yeah, that was the entire idea, was to do a very physical, farcical comedy without not looking to do heart stories or feeling like we had to give a message, just make you laugh hard.
Yeah.
But it worked great in the studio. It did not work great on a little screen.
Yeah.
If everybody had the big screens like they do now, I think it would have probably been more successful.
It would have been more successful with a bigger screen. Yeah. Is it available anywhere? Did they put it on DVD? Is it on any of the nostalgic, channels, Antenna TV or Decades, any of those?
I don't know that it's not airing anywhere.
Yeah.
It may be available as DVDs. I'm not really certain.
Yeah.
I gave my whole set to the Broadcast Museum in Beverly Hills.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fantastic. You also worked, I mentioned it earlier, and it was a show that it didn't last as long as maybe everybody had hoped, but it was with Red Fox and Della Reese.
Yeah.
And that was really something because, that was the last thing for Red, of course.
Yes.
He passed
he died
away.
in rehearsal one afternoon.
Died right there on set in the filming of this series. I believe this was on CBS, right?
It was.
Yeah.
Yes, it was a CBS show at Paramount.
What was it like when you had the opportunity when they were, coming up with this idea and presenting it with Red Fox and Della Reese and the rest of the cast and crew? What was that like for you?
Well, we weren't there at that point. We came into it mid-run. They were having a little executive producer conflict, and this was whose company ran this? God, I can't think who it was. But anyway, we were asked to come in and see what we could do with it. And we turned it around, and it was going well until Red died on us. And while you're looking at that picture, the young girl in that picture, the youngest, you know who that is?
The youngest? Oh, the little girl. Who is that?
That's Naya, who was on Glee, who passed away, drowned in the lake a few years ago.
That's right. That is right.
Yeah.
Yep. That's right. I remember that. And Della Reese, no longer with us. She went on to that other beloved series, Touched by an Angel, with Roma Downey, which was a beautiful one too.
Yeah.
What was it like working with Della and Red? And it's like uncanny because I was just watching some of the series is actually somebody must have taped it. I don't know what they did, but it's on YouTube here and there, bits and pieces. And what was it like? Or I think Decades just recently did. Yes, Decades just recently did a binge weekend of all the episodes of the Royal Family about 2 weeks ago. Sometimes they take these classic series and they will do a binge. Like when Betty White passed, they took the Mary Tyler Moore Show, and for 2 days, Saturday and Sunday, every episode on Decades was Mary Tyler Moore. They'll do it. They did it with the Flying Nun. They've done it with everything you can think of, but they just did it with the Royal Family.
Well, that would explain the 50-cent residual I got recently.
The 50-cent residual.
Not kidding. There are times when I get like a 2-cent residual for Loveboat, but it all depends.
I was going to say that doesn't even get a stick of gum, but
it costs more to mail it.
That is so true. But working with Red and Della while you were able to, the time that you did, what was that like for you?
Red was exactly what you would think he's like. He was that sense of humor and that comedy was Red Fox daily. The man was just on fire, and I found him very funny. And those who know his comedy act know it was quite blue, and that's who he was in real life too. But here's skipping ahead a little bit. After Red died, Paramount decided this is a great big star. We're going to have a tribute to him on one of the stages and invite a lot of people. So they had this whole thing, and they invited a lot of Red's old cronies, comics, and actors. Well, these guys, every studio head, network head was also in the audience. So the first guy, and I don't remember the names of who it was, he walks down to the microphone. He says, Red and I go back a really long way. And I was thinking on my way coming out here, airports today, I got to tell you. And he goes into his act. And they had to finally drag him off stage. And 2 or 3 people went through that. Another one who I don't remember got down there and he said, hey, Mr. Tartikoff, Red and I have this idea for a film. And he starts to pitch the film. This is all at the funeral tribute.
The funeral tribute. Yeah, that is classic, isn't it?
Yeah.
It is absolutely classic. That is hilarious. Again, having an opportunity to work with Red, and of course Della Reese, class act all the way to a wonderful.
Yeah, she was. No, I didn't get to know her quite as well.
Yeah,
she's a little more private.
Yeah,
but she was fun to be around.
Wonderful actress.
And then after Red died, and we did some recasting, we added Jackie Harry to the show.
That's right. Yeah,
as
Jackie,
the long lost sister of Della.
That's right.
And Jackie was a joy to have around. She was a great deal of fun.
You also worked on the Blues Brothers too. Tell us about that for folks who might not realize that.
That was an animated series that we recorded, I think, maybe 10 of them. I don't really recall. And then it got dyed. It got dyed? Yeah.
You just started something that actually probably will catch on.
I think I'll rewrite that.
I got dyed.
The production cost on it just became too outrageous.
Yeah.
As animation can be. But that cool. Was fun. We had Pete Aykroyd instead of Dan.
Yeah.
We had Jim Belushi instead of John.
Right.
Mark Hamill was in the cast.
Mm-hmm.
Taj Mahal, the great blues musician, was in the cast.
Right.
So it was a fun group to be around.
Yeah.
And the readings and the recordings were always fun. But unfortunately, it never got off the ground.
And it just shows, it's a very difficult industry. You throw it up in the air, pilots and different things, and you see where it lands and where it goes. And if it hits the right time, the right audience, then boom. But there's a lot of behind the scenes for that to happen, and a lot of blood, sweat, and tears. And you end up buying a lot of stock in Alka-Seltzer and Tums to make it. But something very well received, of all of these fantastic things you've had an opportunity to be a part of. We're looking at the television side more, but we'll talk about film and theater as well. Me and the Boys on ABC. Now that I know garnered awards and everything. Tell us about this one here for the audience.
This is the sitcom that introduced Steve Harvey to America.
Oh, that's right. Yes,
that's right. We were doing some sort of press thing where on the panel was Ellen DeGeneres, Steve Harvey, and I forget who the third one was. Somebody else from a new show.
Yeah. And
that's the first time I really got to know Steve. And we walked away from that press conference, and I said to Steve, "You are a star.
Yeah.
And you're going to be a star." He has the fastest comedy mind, one of the fastest comedy minds I've ever dealt with.
Yeah.
He's just, I haven't any contact with him now because he's way too big. But he just made me laugh.
Yeah.
And he had that it's what you see now when he's he improvises a lot on Family Feud and everything else, and I'm sure on his new Judge show.
Yes.
But he has a fast comedy mind.
Yes. And definitely pulls upon it, calls upon it really, really quick. Who also too, Wayne Brady is another one that's so, you can throw anything at Wayne Brady and he can turn it into a whole, act in 6 seconds or less. Just extraordinary talents. Absolutely. It's that, the it factor, right? It's the it.
It's, I've only known a few people like that.
Yeah.
One of them was another partner of mine later, Lenny Rips.
Yeah.
Who wrote many of the Joan Rivers jokes.
Yes.
Elizabeth Dinner. Also one of the fastest comedy minds. And the other one was P.J. O'Rourke, who we just lost.
Yes, we did.
Wow.
Yeah.
Those guys, you did not want to try and top them because you weren't going to get close.
No, not at all. But again, extraordinary talents to say the least. Another, of course, speaking of talents, recently lost among many we've lost recently. It's been unbelievable. You worked on Full House. Tell us about that.
I was there for 2 seasons.
Yeah.
They were the second and the third season of the series. I was a supervising producer, and my job was really to deal with the writing. I didn't have a lot of interplay with the cast. It wasn't that kind of a show, but from what I did have, they were really nice people.
Yeah.
John Stamos is also one of the nicest human beings you will ever want to know.
And funny too.
And funny. And Dave Coulier, who I played golf with a few times afterwards.
Oh, yeah.
Dave and I bonded because we were both pilots at that time.
Yeah.
Bob, I didn't really get to know, or any of the kids.
Yeah.
Lori is adorable. They were good people. They were all really nice, good people. It was not a stinker in the bunch.
And a show that became a beloved, iconic show for many as well. You know, it's like a changing of the guard because, you know, you had the dads, Bob Saget being sort of the father figure for that particular generation. And you saw the outpouring of that from fans of the show who felt like they lost a dad when he passed away recently. And prior to that, it would have been maybe, Mike Brady from the Brady Bunch or some of the other dad-like characters. It's amazing, you know, how these shows that become iconic really get into the psyche of culture, of people, of society. It's pretty extraordinary, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. And it takes a special group of people writing it. I left the show after my second season. I was actually, Jeff Franklin, who was the executive producer, was going on to a new series and offered me the show. And I had to decline it because I just knew I was not the right guy for that show.
Yeah.
I'm much more cynical than you would want writing that show. So, I had to make that choice. It was probably a bad financial choice, but it was a good emotional choice.
But you had, right, exactly. There were other things that certainly came your way. One of them was this series game show, Wipeout. You got into the game show world, huh?
You know, I had a secretary, a young man working for me, and he came to me and he said, I have this idea for a game show. I said, I don't do game shows. And he said, let me pitch it to you. And he pitched it to me. And I said, oh, that's kind of cool. We were at Paramount then. I said, well, let's pitch it to Paramount. We pitched it to Paramount, and they said, we don't do game shows. And I said, why don't we do just a mock-up and let's just see how it plays.
Yeah.
So we did, and they decided to do it. And it didn't last long, but I think an English company picked it up, as I recall, and they were doing it for a few years.
And they did it.
It was a fun show.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it was. I believe it was 1988 or so, right? When that
Lord.
just 10 minutes ago, right?
Exactly. just a week ago.
So a few other cool things that you've been involved in too. Can't Hurry Love.
Again, a short-lived series, but I got the pleasure of getting to know Mariska Hargitay, who was one of the stars of it.
Yeah.
And it was an attempt to copy Friends.
That's what it was. It was
an exact attempt to copy Friends, and you can't do that. It just doesn't happen. Magic happens. It doesn't get created.
Yeah, exactly. Here's another one too. Good News.
Oh my goodness, yeah.
Yeah, huh? Tell us about that one.
Good News and Sparks I did simultaneously. And that was working for Ed Weinberger, who created Cosby, Mary Tyler Moore, Taxi, Dear John, et cetera, et cetera. And Ed always had a reputation as being a hard guy to be around. He had a temper.
Yeah.
I love the guy.
Yeah.
And he would go a little off the deep end sometimes, and you'd say, Ed, you're doing it. What? What am I doing? And he'd back off. But he was really kind human being. he would help people who, just because he knew they needed help. I mean, big
Yeah.
help, like
Yeah.
pay the hospital bill for a security guard at the studio.
Wow. So this one here, tell us about Good News for those who weren't familiar with it, maybe.
The premise was, as you see, this young man playing the minister was coming into a very established black church. And they were not happy to have this young upstart, whatever it was.
Yeah.
So it was really about the conflict of him bringing his more modern values about religion into a very traditional religious community.
Yeah. Really, really cool premise. A cool idea, too. In the movie world, the Flintstones, huh? I love your reactions to each thing because you don't know what we're going to pull up next.
I don't know what's coming up, and I fear sometimes. The Flintstones, Brian Levant, who had been a writer on Happy Days and a lot of other Gary Marshall shows, later became a director. And he was the director of the Flintstones. Well, one of the things that Brian knew, was the power of a writing team in a comedy room.
Yes.
When you're doing a script that's going to be comic. So he brought together a bunch of us, all comedy writers, all background in sitcoms and working in a writer's room. And we sat around a room, about 10 of us, I think, and put this film together. It was fun.
Well, yeah, it must have been fun on set and everything too. And I mean, you had quite a cast of characters, literally a part of it, huh?
Oh yeah. Anytime you can have Elizabeth Taylor playing the mother-in-law, that's quite a cast.
That is, and Casper as well.
Casper was exactly the same situation. Brian brought together a team. They were actually already shooting, but were concerned about the comedy in the script.
Yeah.
So Brian brought together a team of writers with comedy writing room backgrounds, and we sat down and did pages, and those pages went straight to the stage when we typed them out.
Yeah. Huh?
And here's a funny side story. Right at that time, I was partnered with Lenny Rips, who I told you is one of the funniest human beings around.
Yeah.
So while we're doing this, Steven Spielberg is sitting in the room doing an interview with the New Yorker magazine about Schindler's List. And Lenny turns to the interviewer from New Yorker and he says, "It would have been a lot funnier if he'd let us write it." And that made it into the New Yorker article.
I'm sure that's what they were looking for, probably.
And Stephen laughed very hard.
Oh, yeah. That is hilarious. Just a sprinkling of some of and then we have actually some fabulous music that you and Dan have worked on, which is really amazing material. Just showing bouncing around a variety of different things. Snow Dogs, Disney.
Yeah, that was again, somebody else brought together a team of writers to do a rewrite. That I don't know what happened to that movie, I guess it got made. It was a very short experience. I think we were in there one day.
That's it. That's all it takes. Hellgate.
This is when I made my transition into reality TV.
Yes.
Actually, Chains of Love was the first reality show I went on to. Hellgate was a BET show.
Yes. And
the premise is pretty obvious from the title. That we had hooked people up with one of our very capable improv actors, and they would think they were on a regular date. Yeah. And this actor would have whatever. We had a wonderful actress named Pharrell. She's going to kill me that I can't remember her last name, but sometimes I don't remember mine. And she was one of the most talented improv people. She could go anywhere. Yeah. So, for example, we knew the guy we set her up with was really kind of conservative. He didn't like loud women or women who got a little too drunk or anything. So, of course, that was her job as the night went on, to get drunker and drunker and louder. Even at a point, they were in a restaurant and a couple left their table, which were also our actors. And she said, "Look at that. They didn't finish their chicken." She went over and takes the chicken off their table. And this guy is like horrified. And then we gave her hidden behind him a cup of mushroom soup so she could walk behind him and go, "Oh, I don't feel so good. I've been drinking too much," and throw the mushroom soup on him like she had thrown up. So it was a punk show, is what it was. We were
Yeah.
punking people.
Oh, this is a cool question. David Thistle asks, what show would you revive from your past? Of all the ones you've worked on, is there any of them where you would bring it back, give it another shot, revamp it, tweak it, and bring it out to today's world, today's
Marblehead
viewers?
Manor. Now that
Yeah.
everybody's got big flat screen TVs,
Yeah.
if I could get a cast like that together again, Marblehead
Yes.
Manor.
Uh,
Never had as much fun as I did on that show.
Marlo Rhodes says from Marlo Rhodes, Rob, you were spectacular in Parisian Holiday way back when. Go Bulldogs.
Marlette and I went to high school together, and Parisian
Wow.
Holidays was our senior musical.
Wow. That's fantastic. Welcome, Marlo. That's fantastic.
Thanks,
Welcome.
Marlette.
Welcome. It's good to have you here. David loved Snow Dogs with, and so did Linda. Cuba Gooding Jr. starred in that. Yes.
That's right.
Snow Dogs as well. I mean, a real variety of things. Played by Fame, another one.
That was just Hell Date, but with celebrities. It's all the same thing. But our punkers were celebrities.
That was just Hell Date, but with celebrities. I love it.
Yeah.
And again, so many iconic shows and productions and so much more that, we could spend hours on your prolific career, but some really special things too. Nowhere Man is another.
Yeah, that's a play I'm very proud of.
Yes. Tell us about this.
It was presented in 2018 in the Broadway Bound Theater Festival in New York City.
Yeah.
And this is a man coming out of comedy, me. This play is it's a 3-character play. There's 2 guys. It's on the roof of an urban building. One guy is, I don't want to say retarded. He's simple from a brain damage in his life.
Yeah.
And the other guy has always been the guy who took care of him.
Yeah.
And the big guy, the sick guy, is dying. He's got cancer. He's going to die. And the younger guy can't take care of him. So his plan is they're going to assassinate the grand marshal of a parade going by the building so that his friend will be put in jail for life where he can get medical care.
Yeah. And
into this pair of guys, this young woman, also another lost soul, running from her horrors, comes into it and becomes the voice of morality and sensibility. And it turns differently in the end. I can't really tell you the end, not because it's a surprise, but because I'm not sure it makes sense just out of the cold. But in the end, the assassination does not take place, but the younger guy is accidentally killed by the rifle.
Sounds riveting, huh?
Yeah. It played very well. I'm proud of it.
Yeah.
Audiences reacted well.
Really Yeah. Here's another Hauntings.
Hauntings is that actually just played recently as a podcast.
Yeah.
In fact, it's still available, I think.
Yeah.
It's another play that all my plays have some comedy element in them, but this is not a comedy.
No.
The central characters are Maude and Alfred, both in their 80s, and they've chosen this day to commit suicide. And they've invited their family, their son, and his estranged wife over for the event. They don't know why they're coming. But there's some secret that has made life difficult in this family. The son and the father hate each other. And into this group, suddenly out of nowhere, comes this tattooed man, possibly running from the police. He's armed. We don't know what's going on. He takes them hostage, and he becomes the point that allows everything to sort of open up around them, where we find out what the horrible secret is that Alfred has been holding on to, that has made everyone's life miserable. And it sounds like a fun play, huh? And And basically the theme of this play is something that I write a lot about. When you hold profound secrets and can't share them with anybody, you not only destroy your life, you destroy the lives of those around you.
Yes.
And that's what this is. His secret was so profound that he could not reveal it to anyone, and it just destroyed a lot of life.
It destroyed a lot of lives. Extraordinary. The breadth of work is truly amazing. You also penned this, Insanity, a user's manual. I was perusing this and I said, this is so perfect. Tell us
This is a
about
black comedy of Hollywood. It's really what it is. I just took everything that I knew that was absolutely ludicrous and absurd about Hollywood and put it in this story.
How'd you fit it all into one book?
I write fast and I edit fast.
And you edit. It is available for folks on Amazon. You can get this. I saw it there today. So that is, and I recommend it. Another one.
That's the same book, actually.
Is
I
it?
just changed the title.
So what came first? One ball each, or
One ball each came first, but so many people objected to the title that I rewrote it and gave it the other title. Well, the one ball each refers more clearly to what's going on in the story.
Yeah.
It's Hollywood's taking one ball and their next wife's taking the other one.
Did you have a ball writing it?
I did. It was a revenge novel.
Have you ever done stand-up?
No,
I mean, you're doing it right now. You're physically standing. He's holding his phone. He's, we're talking about television studios, film set, stage, and he's holding his iPhone so he can come on the show. He wanted to use the PC, the laptop, but it was crazy. So here he is. It's a new crazy world, isn't it, my friend?
It really is. Good and bad.
Good and bad. Matter of fact, we do. Dan sent this earlier, Dan Folliart. This is fantastic. This is Dan, Sandra Booker, and you. And I believe Sandra sent it to Dan, and Dan sent it to us here. Tell us about this.
We were recording one of the demos for our musical. Sandra, she actually pronounces it Sandra.
Yeah.
Is this amazing jazz singer.
Yes.
Who kindly came in and did one of the demos for us.
Yeah.
I didn't realize she was that short or I was that fat. But there we are.
Well, if we had more time, we could have cropped, or there's things we could have done. Could have made this like Instagram or something, filtered, and.
But we had a lot of fun. I think that's up in Dan's studio where you did his interview.
Yes, at Dan's studio, right? Dan, again, for those who didn't see the episode when Dan was on, who wrote Home Improvement's theme and so much more.
So many.
And Sandra, there as well. How did you and Dan Folliart link up? When did that meeting of the minds start initially for the two of you?
Our first connection was Marblehead Manor, where Dan was the composer. And I think he was still working with Howard Pearl at that time. But Dan mentioned this in his interview with you. At that time, we were recording music with a 30-piece orchestra on the sound stages, the recording stages at Paramount. And I used to love to go down and watch Dan work with this orchestra. The sensibility of what he was doing and the control of what he was doing. And I tell him, I always remember this one moment. We're standing there. He's got a 30-piece orchestra playing a piece of music he's written, and he says, "Stop, stop, stop." He's second trumpet, make that an E, not an E flat. I said, "There's 30 people playing. How do you know?" He said, "I know. I just know."
He hears it exactly.
Yeah. And he's got that. He's an amazing talent.
Yeah, and a nice guy. Yeah, a nice guy. Really,
he is.
A lot of fun.
Not many of those around. He's one of them.
Yeah, super talented, of course, as well. And we have actually some music here that you graciously sent along. This is Back in the Game with the company. Tell us about this one, Rob.
Well, this is the first musical Dan and I wrote together, and I had been working with another composer who flaked out, and Dan and I have both had that problem where a partner is flaked out.
Yeah.
And I called Dan and I said, Dan, I'm looking for a composer to work on a musical with me. Do you have any suggestions? And he said, yeah, me.
Yeah.
So I was
Perfect.
surprised. I figured he's too important to do this with me. But we got together and I told him, here's the idea I have for this musical, Back in the Game. The biggest game in the world that everyone wants to get involved in and play in is romance.
Yes.
And it is the most difficult game to play and win because it is the only game with no rules.
Mm-hmm.
So you get in it and eventually you think you made it out and then you're right back in the game again. So that's the idea of it. It's centered on 3 young women in New York City. And this song, Back in the Game, sets up the entire premise of the show and gives you an introduction to the 3 young women. I don't know how much you're going to play. It's kind of long. It's like 6 minutes.
When the other guy flaked out, was flaked out the word that came to mind at first?
No. Because the other person lived in a different city, so I had to fly there on a regular basis to work with them. And the 3rd time I was there, I said, where is the sheet music for what we've done? And it was a she. And she said, I just keep it in my head. So that is not going to work.
Yeah. Bullshit.
Yeah.
With the sheet music.
Exactly.
Yeah. Here is Back in the Game, and enjoy, folks. Our very special guest, Rob Dames, coming to us live from Los Angeles, acclaimed award-winning television, film, and theater writer, producer, director, lyricist, and more. And here we go.
It's always the same, a passionate flame, and then you're back in the game.
The story's the same, year in and year out.
You fall in love and then you fall out.
There are no rules, but there is a game.
You catch someone's smile and you smile back.
The next thing you know, you'll end up in the sack.
There are no rules for winning this game. No rules you can't explain.
In football, you win with more touchdowns.
In baseball, you win with more runs.
In basketball, it's all about baskets.
In hockey, it's something with pucks.
In this game, it's all about luck.
Brand new year, all the planets aligned. It's a sign I'll find the right man. I just hope that he knows the fate that the stars chose is all part of God's plan. If not, that would be a real shame. I'm back in the game.
God, I wish JT was here. Nothing like starting the year in love with a good man. Happy New Year's, honey.
The man I love is handsome and kind. He'll be home soon, wrapped in my arms. He sends me such sweet texts, but I prefer hot sex. A girl likes to be warm. I just might be changing my name. I'm winning the game.
It's always the same, a passionate flame, and then you're back in the game.
Another man thinks that I'm hot. Another man is hitting on me.
Come on, sit
They
down.
all think
They're playing
to give me
one
a
of our
shot,
songs.
make me scream with wild ecstasy. When they walk out my door, I smile and ignore the jerk Prince Charming became. So screw you, you were totally lame.
Feeling like boys, talking to boy, you know she's back in the game, back in the game.
When falling in love, no one's ever wise.
It's not about brains, it's that look in the eyes.
There are no rules, but there is a game.
Don't take the time to investigate.
Tommy gets swirly and then it's too late.
There are no rules for winning this game. No rules you can't explain.
In checkers, it's all about jumping.
In chess, it's about kings and queens. In bridge, it's all about trumping.
In Tetris, it's lining things up.
In this game, it's all about luck.
I know some guy is looking for me. I know my guy is on his way home.
Why settle for just one guy? Don't know how you'll get by sliding alone.
Don't stand too close to the flame, or you'll get burned by the game.
It's always the same with every romance.
Nothing for certain, a big game of chance.
There are no rules, but there is a game.
With each new affair, you roll in the dice.
Could come up craps, could come up paradise.
There are no rules for winning this game. No rules you can't explain. In this game, it's all about
I'm
luck.
so in the game, with me in the game.
I'm good at this game.
I'm game if you're game.
We all need romance, so we risk the chance that we'll end up in pain, completely insane. In this confusing, seductive, bemusing, addictive, miserable, distressing, superbly heartbreaking game. In this game, it's all about luck.
That is catchy. That is cool. We figured we can't cut that off. There's nowhere to really cut it. It was just really good. I mean, once you get
Thank
into it, you're tapping your toes, and that's really good stuff, huh?
Good. Glad you liked it.
Yeah.
You like it?
We like it. Well, lots of lovely coming in. Merlin is watching in Ontario, Canada. Claps and notes and hearts here. Linda in
Yay.
Florida, St. Augustine, same thing. Kathleen Walker in New York City. Lots of emojis, coolness. And Jane watching in Sweden, same thing. And yeah, we have folks watch from all around the world, which is really cool. Our lovedies. And Michelle Dames says, great interview.
That's my cousin.
I was going to say, welcome, Michelle. It's good to have you with us here, part of the Lovely Squad on the Jim Masters Show Live. So, yeah, tell us about. I mean, I know we focused on television and film, and then there's much more to that, where that came from. But you really love the theater as well. The theater really is near and dear to your heart, isn't it, Rob?
It's, I consider it's my roots. That's what all of this, everything's came out of there. And I'm happy that I have the chance to get back into it now. I've had wonderful career Tillman Film and Television, and they've made it possible to do all the things in life that I wanted to do. And now I have the chance to get back to my passion, working in the theater.
I like that. Tillman Television. That sounds like a new act or a law firm, doesn't it?
Yeah, one of the two.
We have another here that you graciously sent along, and let's see if we can call that one up as well. This is Horace Laments.
This is from our second musical. It's a shorter musical called The Lovely Part of Town. And the lovely part of town referred to in that title is a small cemetery somewhere in Middle America, small town cemetery somewhere in Middle America. And all the characters are residents, not all, most of them are residents of that cemetery. So it's one act, and it's told in monologue and song, and it's the residents primarily telling their stories, because as one of them points out, it's our stories that we lived and that you remember that will always connect us to show you we have not left you just because we passed on. And so that is the premise of it, that we have a connection that is eternal because the stories we shared are eternal. Horace is not a resident. He's a groundskeeper in the cemetery.
Yeah.
And he's kind of a grumbler.
Yeah.
And he's just come in late to work, and he just apologize to everybody that he's late. And then he's going to tell you in his lament what's going on with his life and why it's such a pain.
Yeah.
And what they're not missing by not being alive.
Right. Exactly. I've often thought of that with people who have passed on. Did they know something that we didn't know? Because then you turn on the news and some other major horrific thing has happened. You're like, did they just bail out just on the cusp of this news?
Yeah.
Did they know something?
Maybe.
They got the memo we didn't get. Really cool. Again, we appreciate your, sharing these with us here on the Jim Masters Show.
This is a very bluesy kind of song that Dan wrote.
Really cool. All right, let's hear this. Horace Laments here on the Jim Masters Show live with our very special guest, Rob Dames, live from L.A.
Got up early with the morning sun, saw my wife had evil eyes. Wasn't sure just what I'd done, no. Rolled over and give her a kiss, now that was a big mistake. She said that kiss is a big damn lie. Said, honey, you're the one I love. She gave me a nasty frown. I'd better get my butt on out of there. Jumped out of bed to get away, and she yelled as I closed the door, you stink of beer, and you're going round downtown. Now I know I ain't perfect, just doing the best that I can. But you know there's something you ain't planned on, making life hard for a man. Drove down to the bank about 9, said my car loan was late one day. Knew that was the bank's mistake, not mine. Talked 3 hours with a repo man, and it should have turned out fine. While I was talking, they towed my car away, and now I know I ain't perfect. I'm just doing the best I can. But you know there's something you ain't planned on, making life hard for a man.
See the troubles y'all are missing? What's a man gonna do? Ain't nothing to do but do it. Keep on keeping on.
But you know there's something you ain't planned on, making life hard for a man. Making life hard for a man.
Lord, ain't that the truth?
That is cool too, huh?
And that is Dan Folliart singing that song.
Did he do both parts, or ain't that the truth at the end? Is that you?
That's me doing the dialogue part, but
That's what I thought. Yeah.
I'm singing and playing.
Wow, that is cool, huh? He really is a multi-talent. I mean, you both are extraordinary, in the industry, and you've both given so much, and you're both. The thing that I like too, that's actually refreshing in these industries we're in, you're both very humble too. You're very humble in receiving these accolades and awards and kind comments from everybody, and it's sort of refreshing to see that.
Well, I think it's more normal than people think.
Yes, I would agree. Yes, we have another one here. Where does love go to? Tell us about this one.
This is the end of Act 1 of Back in the Game. There have been several romances that have come together.
Yeah.
And at this point, near the end of Act 1, 2 of them have just fallen apart.
Mm.
And this song is bemoaning that situation.
Where does love go to? All right, here we go. Enjoy, folks.
In the beginning, eyes lock and you breathe the same air. The first time you kiss her, the world disappears. Your fingers have drawn a map of her curves. Then it changes, you're lost, and you never know why. And you ask, where does love go to die?
In the beginning, all's right and love's a sweet song. You don't understand, the music won't go on. You danced and you loved to that melody, and then it changes and you stop and you never know why. And you ask, where does love go to die?
Somewhere there's a couple falling in love, believing that love never ends.
Somewhere there's a couple blinded by love, they can't really comprehend.
When the magic stops and push comes to shove,
you won't see the ending begin.
love is there, then it's not. But when did it begin to end?
So sad, it had to end.
In the beginning, time stops and all is a blur.
If he asks me, would I fall again?
Has something changed in me? Or something in her?
No, I'm not the fool I was then.
The words that we said, the vows that we made, Did we mean them?
Were they real?
Were they lovers' white lies? And you ask, where does love go to die? Tell me, where does love go?
Where did love go?
Where does love go to die?
That's a beautiful song. You know, I love the transition, the three different styles of material that we shared. That's a beautiful, beautiful song. Some of the lovely viewers were asking about the singers.
Yeah, I saw that. Zach Taylor is the man, and Adrian Visnick is the woman singing. Two wonderful talents who we're actually recording some additional demos with Adrian in a couple of weeks.
Really incredible. Tell us about some of the exciting things that are coming up that you're excited about, because I mean you could easily be, you know, have your feet in the sand with a banana colada in a lounge chair with all that you've done, but you're still prolifically involved in, you know, writing, directing, producing, doing all of this, and we're so happy you do, because it gives us great joy and blessing and entertainment and allows us to think about life. What are some exciting things that you're working on as well that you might want to share with us?
Well, there are several new plays that are out there now. Hopefully somebody will find them interesting and want to produce them.
Yeah.
That's not much I can say about them at this point, except that the big thing is now is the musicals. The next big step is to get a reading, which is actors in front of music stands and microphones in front of an audience, because you don't know how any play or musical works until you stand behind the audience and feel when it dies and when they're elated. That's the big way to know what you've got and what you don't have, is you can feel the change in energy.
Yes.
And that's what you got to do. So that's what we're hoping, is to get around to that. We had, you know, with the pandemic, that was not at all possible. Now that we're kind of calming down, we're hoping to find some way to do that.
What are some things you learned about yourself, life, or anything during the course of this pandemic situation? I mean, there's been so many teachable moments and so many moments of reflection and time to reflect and to regroup and think about those things in life that really, truly matter most. And we're in these industries where it's go, 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 next, let's go. And we've had this time to really breathe. And I've talked to so many people who are also performers who've said, you know what, they were nervous because the work wasn't coming, but at the same time, they actually had time to reconnect with themselves because they didn't have to be there, here, there. So it actually gave them some time to sort of reconnect with life and the simple things and the constants in life, which something I keep telling people during all of these crazy times. Go to the ocean, go to the forest, you know, go amongst nature, surround yourself with the things that are constant. They don't know anything about pandemics or anything else that's going on. And so there's been a time of great reflection. How about for you, Rob?
Well, it's been a time to catch up on a lot of reading. Right at the beginning, I said, I'm going to read those books I was supposed to read in school that I never got around to. And I sat down and I did. I got through, I'm looking over at the bookshelf. I got through War and Peace, Don Quixote, Moby Dick.
The Bible? We're still
yeah,
working on that one. Still working on that.
I can watch the movie on that. So
there's a picture book on that now too. I think you see it in pictures.
That's pretty much it. Is catching up on reading, doing a lot of reading, spending a lot of time with my wife, enjoying
That's
that.
beautiful. That's absolutely beautiful too. I kept saying that the only people that probably could have scripted what's gone on the last 2 years would be Steven Spielberg, Stephen King, George Lucas, or Rod Serling. And you've
Or
had an
all
opportunity,
together.
yeah,
Yeah.
all together. And you've had the opportunity of working with Spielberg. You mentioned a little bit earlier. What was that like?
Well, I didn't have a lot of contact with him, but the contact I had, he's an incredibly down to earth, easy to deal with guy, fun to talk with. As I told you, we were a comedy writing table,
Yes.
and he came in to join us at one point, and he said, "First thing, you guys got to tell me if it's a joke because I don't have any sense of humor." So I don't think that's true, but
Yeah. That is so funny. And Aaron Spelling, the epic producer, in Mr. 70s and 80s, Aaron Spelling, what was it like working with Aaron?
you don't really work with Aaron; you work for Aaron. Um, but he was my first job, so that was exciting to know that that's who it was I was working for. And then some years later, he called my agent that he had an idea for a pilot and would like me to write it if I was interested in it. So that came back around. And later, if you remember, there was an attempt to bring back a second version of the Loveboat.
Yes.
And David Landsberg, who's an old friend, was running it. And I called him. I said, "David, you got to give me a script so I could say I wrote on both versions of it." And he did, and I did. And Aaron Spelling was Aaron Spelling. What can you say?
Yeah.
He had his style, and it worked wonderfully.
Yes. It's really amazing. There was talk. I don't know, obviously, if they could do it now because some of the key players are no longer with us, but there had been talk of a reboot, or that's a more, modern word, but just bringing back out Family with Sada Thompson and James Broderick and Kristen McNichol, Meredith Baxter Burney, and Gary Frank and Quinn Cummings. And they had talked about that, and it was after James Broderick had passed, and it was going to be, Kate Lawrence, played by Sada Thompson, dealing with the passing of her husband, Doug Lawrence, and the family moving on from there. I know that, and I think I read something where Aaron Spelling was asked, of all the shows you've done and had a piece of, and part of the creation of, what is the one that you're the most proud of? And he said it was Family. It was Family with Sada Thompson and James Broderick. That was a beautiful series, wasn't it? Family.
It was a.
Yeah.
I don't know that you could redo that. I think it's a series of its time.
Yes.
I certainly wouldn't want to do it with a different cast.
They were top notch.
Yeah.
They were
And I think that's a problem that happens more often than not. Something was really wonderful, and somebody wants to either do another version of it, or they want to bring back and do it again. I don't think it's magic that happens in an instant.
Yes.
Until you put together the writers and the directors and the cast, and it works, it's the right combination.
Yes.
It'll work. You put together, you change 2 people in Seinfeld or 2 people in Friends, and those shows will probably not work.
The only time I think that I can recall where it did, and again, there haven't been many, would be maybe The Odd Couple, where you had Walter Matthau and Jack Lemmon in the movie, but then you had Jack Klugman and Tony Randall in the series, and they played off each other so beautifully.
I agree with you on that.
And that was rare.
You had a very solid base there.
Yeah.
That could, and that play's been done by so many people and done well, because it sustains itself.
Yes.
People say actor proof. There is no such thing, but this is a play that's pretty damn close to it.
The one I think where they did make an attempt to try to redo it was when they took one of my favorite movies, which is Neil Simon's The Out of Towners with Jack Lemmon and Sandy Dennis, the original. It was of the time, just Jack Lemmon, one of my favorites on earth, his timing and his mannerisms. the every, survival of the fittest, the everyman type of thing, and the quirkiness of Sandy. And then I guess they tried to redo it with, was it Steve Martin, Goldie Hawn, maybe? And
I don't remember.
Not quite the same. It's hard to take something like the Out of Towners back then and bring it back. It was of that time. Quincy Jones's music and just all of that, What do you like to watch and listen to? What does the guy who's, involved in creating so much epic material, what do you turn to? What brings you joy?
I'm a terrible audience. I'm a truly terrible audience.
It's because you see things.
Because I see things, and I try not to.
Yeah.
And if you get me to the point where I don't, then you've got something really amazing happening. But it's a curse of the industry. Somebody told me that years ago when I was first sort of getting into theater. They said, if you really love theater, don't get involved with it because it'll never be the same to you again. It's being the assistant to the magician and knowing exactly how the tricks work. And on the other, good and bad. I was watching the movie Nightmare Alley the other day, and Guillermo del Toro, who's one of my favorite directors, I'm just amazed watching what he does. But I'm watching what he does, more than I'm watching the movie.
Yeah,
I got into the movie kind of, but I was really much more captivated by his skill and his craft. So I'm a terrible audience, even for my own stuff.
You don't go into movie theaters and say, now, why did they take that shot? They should have moved the camera over here. And then
I say it in my head.
You say in your head. I do that too. I'm always looking, at the camera angles and the different shots, and also underscoring. I mentioned this with Lloyd Schwartz, how underscoring really is so impactful, and how much like these shows we were talking about that you've been a part of, especially the television side of things, the underscoring of the music coming in at just the right time, and the violins, the flutes, whatever, how it really can create such emotion and really put a stamp on what the writers are trying to convey, what the actors and actresses are trying to present. And then the music sort of comes in and is almost like words without saying a word in an extraordinary way, huh?
When it's done well, yes.
Yeah.
It can go the other way too, when people get heavy-handed with it.
Too much.
And Dan Folliard talked about this in his interview with you. There's so much music now that it's just library music that they just drop and plug. And you can't do that any more than you can just drop in a speech from somewhere else in the script.
No.
You need to have the artistry of a composer and the musicians, which is harder to get nowadays.
It's a great expense. Yeah, great expense.
Dan and I were talking about that because we're working on how many musicians. And I told him Hamilton on Broadway had 10 people in the pit.
Yes.
And 2 pre-recorded keyboards.
Yes, right.
Yeah.
It's hard, right. No more Percy Faith Orchestra or Henry Mancini.
No.
Some of the great
that big sound anymore.
All those session musicians and doing all of those sounds. Exactly. What brings you great blessing and joy in your life to continue to do this work, Rob?
I think it's an addiction. I can't not write. It's what it boils down to. Ideas will come and I'll start working on them and they'll either die or they'll take a life. And when they take a life, it's because the characters take over and just start telling me where to type, what to type, and pull me through it. When they don't, when I'm having to generate it, it sucks. It's going to go in the trash. Well, it never goes in the trash because there might be one speech in there I really liked.
It sucks. If it sucks, it sucks, and that's it. But you hang on to it because you never know. Down the line, it could be a gem.
That's right. So what happened before?
Yes. Somebody that's joining us who usually comes in towards the latter part just wanted to say hello. Mr. George Burns is in the house with us here.
Say good night, Gracie.
There he is. He always pops in with his cigar. And he said, you knocked it out of the park. You were absolutely amazing. And
Well, you were amazing. Your show is amazing. I really enjoyed. I think you just do such a wonderful, easy conversation with the talent you have on there that it's a joy to watch.
I appreciate that. And my father, as I've said on this show and elsewhere, my father has always said, my Irish dad from New York, whenever anybody says something kind or nice to you, ask them to please put it in writing and address it management.
Very good.
It's really an honor and a pleasure. And
Thank you,
yeah,
Same
we're
to
sort of doing the old school style, like a television show, warm, conversational, not an interview, and bringing in the audience. They've been commenting throughout. Kathleen in New York City. Thank you, Rob, for being here, sharing your life with us. Fun show. Really, really fantastic. Jane says this was a really fun show. She's in Sweden. Thanks, Rob, for being here. And thanks, Jim. And Marty Thompson in Nashville, originally from Australia. He says, good day, mates. We have a 6 degrees of separation, as in I was the last headliner to perform on the Loveboat. Also, Della Reese was a great singer. Did you get to hear her sing, Della?
For sure.
Yeah. Great question, Marty. Merlin in Ontario, Canada. Thank you, Rob. Very enjoyable. Kathy Jean watching. Thank you, gentlemen, for a riveting and entertaining show. Good night, everyone. Thank you, Kathy. I hope you'll join us again. Claps, claps, claps from YouTube user. I like that. That's very incognito.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it. Sometimes incognito is the best way to go. And good stuff. Really nice comments from everybody here. And Linda in Florida, St. Augustine. Thank you, Rob, for sharing your life's passion with all of us. Please come back. I thoroughly enjoyed this show. Thank you. Rob, this was fantastic. And the fact that you've been holding up your phone, I just wanted to let the audience know, if it looks like he's moving around, he's actually in his swimming pool on a raft, and it's getting a little, bouncy. The way the tide is coming in. Rob, you're amazing. You're a class act. Thanks, you for
Jim.
all that you've done to entertain all of us. And,
It was a joy.
It was an absolute joy. I hope we get a chance to meet at some point if I'm on a TV shoot out there or if you're out this way. And
that would be great.
It was a real
Look forward to
pleasure.
it.
I hope the show met whatever expectations you had and you enjoyed the time with me as much as I have with you.
I did very much. Sorry I screwed up at the beginning.
No, not at all. Shh, nobody knows. Nobody knows.
Shoot.
No, it was one of those fancy entrances. You just come in and here he is, and we ran trailers beforehand.
Good.
Thanks, Rob. You're the best.
Thanks, Jim.
You be well. Take care now.
Be well. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye now. The incredible Rob Dames here on the Jim Masters Show Live. Extraordinary. We appreciate all the time, and really an amazing person. Thank you very much, Michelle, his cousin. We appreciate that. Got thumbs up from the family, the Dames family. We appreciate that. And Austin Field, thank you for your comments and being such a faithful follower of our series. Appreciate that. Another great show. Please subscribe for great content. Yes, we would love if you subscribe to our YouTube channel because that really does help us. And don't forget to click that notification bell. Jim Masters TV is the channel you're watching. And the show is the Jim Masters Show Live Entertainment Lifestyle Talk Show Series. So Austin Field, thank you very much. Appreciate that. And Jane in Sweden, lovely coming her way in emoji form. Really, really nice. Good music, great conversation, and an opportunity to go back in time and see some of those great theatrical performances, movies, films, all of it. So long from St. Louis. Hello. Well, we hope we will keep the porch light on for you like we do for all of our viewers and for all of our guests. We hope you will be back with us real soon because, boy, do we have amazing guests. Look who's with us tomorrow. The incomparable king of blue-eyed soul, Felix Cavaliere. He was in The Rascals. Of course, you know that. legendary group, right? Groove In and all those great songs. Yes, he's going to be here live tomorrow, 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific. He is a music legend, to say the least. And then lots of comedy with another fantastic guest coming in. Comedian and actor Randy Lewis is going to be with us. A lot of people are very excited about that. That's on Friday night, 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific. And you know who's coming on Saturday? Harvey Korman's son, Chris Korman. Yes, you know legend Harvey Korman, right? From the Carol Burnett Show, Mel Brooks, Blazing Saddles, and so much more. Comedy and television icon. Well, we're going to be celebrating Harvey this Saturday at 7 p.m. Eastern, but also his producer son, Chris Korman, is going to be a special guest. He loves our show. He's a huge fan of our series. He especially loved the episode where we had Kathy Garver on. Kathy's been on our show 3 times, twice individually, and then the third time, I believe, well, the third time was just, 2 weeks ago? But the time before that was during one of our birthday celebrations. And then the time before that, it was a singular conversation. And he loved that episode with Kathy from Family Affair, that TV series. But good stuff. Jane, thank you very much for being here. Veronica Lee in Australia. Thank you, Jim Masters, for bringing such brilliant talent to us all. Thank you. Marty says, bring back Benson. That would be a good one. Anne says, thank goodness for the archives. Absolutely. Oh, no, it's LOL. It's me, Dad. So this is Rob's child. Wow. Isn't that cool? YouTube user. Well, YouTube user, I hope YouTube user Dames, I hope you'll join us again on our show, on our series, because we do these shows 7 days a week live with guests from Broadway, Hollywood, television, film, music, stage, comedy, sports, culinary arts, inspiration, authors, and so much more. And we always have a good time. We don't call these interviews. We call these conversations. And we bring in our viewers who are our JMS Lovity Squad from literally all around the world. Thanks, Jim, for another great show. The pleasure is all mine. Kathleen Walker in New York City. Anne, enjoy the archives. I hope you're doing well. Jane in Sweden, you as well. And Marty, yes, Randy is here on Friday night. I know you're going to love that. So Randy is here for comedy and more on Friday. That's going to be amazing this Friday for those watching live. Tomorrow night from the Rascals and so much more, music legend, the king of blue-eyed soul, Felix Cavalieri is going to be here. Coming up in a couple of weeks, Christine Ullman, the Beehive Queen, acclaimed singer-songwriter from the Saturday Night Live band, yes, SNL. She's going to be here as well, and countless more guests. Next week, Dwight Turner, my buddy Dwight Turner, for his second visit. Actor extraordinaire. He's got some new projects he's excited to share with us as well. And again, we thank our very special guest, Rob Dames, for joining us. He really was amazing. Look at some of those shows that he's been a part of. Full House, Gimme A Break, The Loveboat, Benson, The Flintstones, Me and the Boys, Marblehead Manor, and on and on and on. And we talked about just a few of them here on the show and brought back some great memories. And he's also working on some cool things too. New theatrical productions. He's working with Dan Folliard, of course. If you didn't see that episode with Dan, extraordinary talent. Check that out. Yes, Tim Conway's daughter was on the show. Yes, Kelly Conway was here. If you didn't see that episode, you must have been off that night. Check that out. It's archived on our YouTube channel. We had an epic conversation when Kelly Conway, Tim Conway's daughter, Tim Conway, the Carol Burnett Show, another comedy genius, she was on the show not that long ago, and it's available for viewing and binge watching on our YouTube channel, Jim Masters TV. Terry Ann, 58, thank you. And you just recently did another of those heart thanks in support of our series. If you want to support our series, you can always do super chat, super emoji, super stickers during the live show in chat. But if you don't get a chance to do it in chat, there's a little heart symbol that says thanks, and it's on the episodes, all the episodes. And you've been doing that, Terry Ann, and thank you so very much. That's kind and generous of you and helps support our series. Thanks so much. Jim, very entertaining. Rob is so gifted with much talent and a great sense of humor too, right? That was a bonus tonight. Rob is very funny. I love some of those lines. And he and I were having a great comedic, tennis match back and forth. I don't know who had more fun, Rob or myself. I think it was 50-50. Thank you, Kathleen, you as well. And such a brilliant lineup ahead, Jim Masters. Thank you for all your efforts to bring us such professionally polished chat show. I like that. PPCS, a professionally polished chat show. Love your work. Thank you. Continue to spread the word there down under in Australia. We appreciate that. And we appreciate all of you. Appreciate all of you. You can't find the hearts? What, on the emojis? Kathleen certainly found quite a few there. You guys are great. We're going to wrap. This was really terrific. If you haven't had a chance to subscribe to our YouTube channel, it is Jim Masters TV. We would love if you did it. Again, click the red subscribe button you see there. Make sure you click that notification bell too, so you never miss any of the archived episodes. And also give the episode a nice, there's a little thumbs up icon there. Give it a like, and don't forget to leave a comment on the YouTube channel. We would love that. When you do that, YouTube sees that. They take the episode and they blast it out even more, and they suggest it out further, which really helps our series. If you like what we're doing here, certainly let us know. We appreciate that. And Marty Thompson is also originally from Australia. He's a big fan of our show. He's been a guest on our show. He's a great mate. Good day, Ms. Ebert from Australia. Are you related to the legendary football family? And hearts coming in from Kathleen. So you can't find the hearts on comments for you, Merlin. You can share some with Kathleen, because Kathleen certainly has a bunch of them right there. So I think she did enough there for both of you. Gang, we love you all. Take care. Thanks for being with us on this episode of the Jim Masters Show Live Entertainment Lifestyle Talk Show Series. We love putting these shows together. We've done well over 600 plus and counting. And there are a lot of work and a lot of, time and attention, but we love doing it for all of you. And as long as you're there, we'll continue doing them. Spread the word. That really helps us tell everybody about our show, our series, our YouTube channel. Share the links on your social media. That helps us big time as well. And if you're watching live, thank you. If you're watching this in the replay and the archives, we thank you as well. And stay right there, because more episodes come right up here for you. And she found the hearts. Say she doesn't give in or give up, Merlin, there in Ontario. She found the hearts. Possibly, Marty, so many of us Eberts bred like rabbits as pioneers. It's the answer to Marty's question about the legendary football family. All right. We are going to duck out here. Busy day tomorrow. Television shoots, radio shows. And we'll be back here 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific with the incomparable, legendary Felix Cavalieri. You're going to enjoy him. The king of blue-eyed soul. It's going to be amazing. He is a legend, and it's going to be really cool to have him as part of our JMS family tomorrow. We don't say goodbye here. We just say see you later. Avida Zane. Thank you, Marty Thompson. I appreciate that. Right back at you. We say cheers. We say sláinte. We say ciao. We say shalom. Catch you later. See you later, but we don't say goodbye, because we'll always be here waiting for you. Thanks, gang. You can also find me on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at Jim Masters TV. Feel free to follow and like and all the rest there. And, of course, our Facebook group, the Jim Masters Show, Levity Hall, and all the other goodies we have for all of you. All right. Take care. Be well, gang. Good to see all of you. Nice to connect once again on the Jim Masters Show Live. And now we relax. Absolutely. And that's RELAX. Capitalized. So you got it. Your wish is my command. Merlin in Ontario, sitting in her mauve chair in her living room there in Canada. How do I know? She sent us a picture. See you guys later. Take care. Thanks for being with us in this episode. Hope you enjoyed it. And we'll have more great shows coming up here on the Jim Masters Show Live. Be well. Love one another. Take care of one another. And cheers.